Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, a vote of confidence. 73% of NUGW votes for their first agreement with the university.
Plus, home sweet Lakeside, Northwestern takes an initial step towards potentially playing football games by the lake next fall.
And a very hoppy Easter. Evanston's Parks and Recreation Department organizing an egg hunt for the special occasion. All that and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now. Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Ananya Chug.
And I'm Paris Francois. Happening as we come on the air, a judge ruling that former head football coach Pat Fitzgerald's lawsuit against the school for wrongful termination will go on. NU had filed a motion to quash the complaint. The case is now slated for April 2025. Next, the latest update on this year's Northwestern application season. This cycle, the university filtered through applications for 50,000 potential Wildcats. The acceptance rate rose from 7% to 7.5% for the roughly 2,000 students expected to make up the class of 2028.
From our newest Wildcats to some of our most senior ones, Northwestern Graduate Workers approved a new contract with Northwestern in March. 73% of union members voted for the contract, which includes a pay raise, support for international grad students, and more healthcare benefits. But some workers told NNN's Jeremy Fredericks that the contract doesn't go far enough.
Almost 3 in 4 grad students approved a new contract that gives them more rights and pay. But 27% voted against that agreement. Organizers led a Vote No campaign, concerned that the deal didn't cover dependent health care or address concerns about finances and safety.
We will be some of the poorest compensated graduate workers, unionized graduate workers in the country. I think we could have pushed for a lot more.
NU grad workers will be making $45,000 starting in September. When this contract ends in 2027, NU workers will be earning $47,000 compared to $52,000 at Brown and Yale. Lawrence Chilrud was a member of the bargaining committee who voted no. He says the committee's endorsement of the contract, which occurred despite 6 of the 22 members not being on board, upset him.
So 1 in 4 grad workers voting this contract down when union leadership as a whole was recommending a yes vote, that's hugely significant.
Matej Youngworth voted no because the contract doesn't include premium health care coverage for dependents.
And people who are relying on this plan to provide health care access for their family, the impact is still even worse, even with the increased stipend.
His young son's health care is covered by his wife's employer. His family has 2 plans, but
if something were to happen to people on both of these plans, we'd be financially screwed.
The contract also won't allow a third party to settle issues of sexual assault, a process known as grievance. Without grievance, perpetrators can go unpunished.
I think it's really important for graduate students to have a full protection against this.
Despite the overwhelming support for the contract, Chilrud says that the no votes were a sign of a healthy democracy within the union.
You have this large contingent of people who are saying, I want to fight for more. I mean, you had roughly 650 people saying, I could fight for more.
Organizers are looking forward to negotiating for a new contract in 3 years. Jeremy Fredericks, Northwestern News Network.
And Jeremy joins us in the studio now. Jeremy, what are the next steps for the union and the Vote No organizers?
I spoke to the secretary of the union. He said that they're working on getting a constitution approved and electing more members. Meanwhile, the Vote No organizers are currently working on getting stuff ready for 3 years from now when their current contract expires.
Gotcha. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thousands of current and former Northwestern students receiving financial aid are eligible to be compensated by the university. Students were notified Friday about a proposed class action settlement against the university. This settlement applies to any student who received need-based financial aid at numerous universities between the years of 2003 and 2024. According to Northwestern's website, 61% of students currently receive financial aid. Northwestern has agreed to make a settlement payment of $43.5 million. Upon court approval, the average claimant will receive about $2,000. The next hearing for the class action settlement is July 19th.
The Jacobs Center is getting a makeover. Thanks to a $10 million donation by alumni Steve and Tracy Cahalane, interior and exterior renovations will begin later this year. The university says the project will turn currently underutilized space into a hub for research, learning, and student activity. The Jacob Center is currently used for social science and global studies. After renovations, the Northwestern Program in Global Health Studies and Weinberg College Center for International and Area Studies will move in.
Just a few paces from the Jacob Center, the Block Museum of Art is screening a film this weekend. 4 more years, a documentary produced by the multiple amateur videographers in the lead up to the 1972 presidential election will be shown for the first time in decades. The film spurred on an era of independent media, gaining access to politicians and newsmakers in a way that hadn't been done before. After initial television screenings, the film has largely fallen from public view. The Block event will feature the film, followed by discussion with videomaker Tom Weinberg and Medill and SOC professor Heather Hendershot. You can RSVP at blockmuseum.northwestern.edu.
And Tech Express got a refreshing upgrade over spring break. Joining the line of vending machines is a boba-esque self-serving fridge. Provided by Micah, the ATM offers milk tea, fruit tea, and coffee drinks with optional aloe jelly topping. All drinks have a shelf life of 24 to 48 hours, at which point they are immediately removed and restocked. With over 10 options to choose from, there's plenty of options for students to take them to class. Up next, where will the Cats call home next season? A look into the search for a new stadium during Ryan Field renovations. We'll be right back.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
One, two, three, four.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. NU Center for Awareness, Response, and Education, or CARE, is embarking on its annual campaign to prevent assault and foster a healing environment for survivors. Our Bodies Belong to Us is CARE's theme for this year. A number of events will be hosted throughout the month, including a keynote speaker and an abortion teach-in. Follow CARE on Instagram at care.northwestern to stay up to date at this month's programming.
Last week, Evanston City Council approved plans to buy a new $2.3 million fire ladder truck. The truck will replace the existing 2006 reserve truck, which is currently in Wisconsin for an estimated $300,000 in major repairs. Additionally, Evanston's 2011 truck will move from frontline status to reserve status when the new truck arrives. Department standard is to have 2 frontline working trucks and 1 reserve. With the current reserve truck unavailable, any issues with a main truck will force EFD to contact neighboring communities for a loaner. This is not a long-term solution, and the new fire truck will ensure a safer Evanston community.
The Main Dempster Mile in Evanston celebrated the start of renovations with a fiery event for all ages. NNN's Sabrina Carson takes us downtown, sharing how this new project could affect community businesses for months to come.
Children laughing, engines whirring, and sirens wailing.
Just some of the exciting sounds heard at Maine Dempster Miles Touch a Truck event on Friday.
We get a sense of pride, working within our neighborhood.
This gathering gave Evanstonians the opportunity to see service vehicles up close before driving off to help renovation efforts. These efforts include new light poles, pavement on the sidewalk, traffic calming measures, and more environmentally friendly architecture.
There's going to be a raised crosswalk. We get new trees. There will be permeable pavers that will catch rainwater.
The event encourages residents to visit small businesses on the mile before major reconstruction efforts begin.
It's really important that people come out.
Maine Dempster Mile is made up of over 250 mostly locally owned businesses.
Construction is just big, it's ugly, it's messy.
Robert Perron, head chocolatier of Belgian chocolatier Perron, has seen many construction projects over his past 40 years as a small business owner. He says though business will eventually pick back up, times will still be tough.
We're still going to be okay. We're going to rely on the delivery companies and UPS and the post office. And there are going to be some holdouts, but we will undoubtedly lose customers.
So, how can students and Evanstonians still support these businesses?
Don't let our dust keep you from shopping.
From Maine Dempster Mile, Sabrina Carson, Northwestern News Network.
Construction is set to start this week and continue until late September.
And we are officially less than 5 months out from football season. Yet Northwestern has not announced where the Cats will play their home games this fall. NNN's Logan Schijano has the scoop on one possibility.
Sailgating on the shores of Lake Michigan? It could happen next fall. The university making waves last week when it asked the city to do a zoning review for building a temporary facility at the Lakeside Field Complex.
These will be for the non-conference games, the low-tier games where attendance typically is quite a bit lower anyways.
Fans have speculated where Northwestern football might play home games during construction of Ryan Field. Soldier Field, SeatGeek Stadium, Wrigley Field, even Lambeau Field have all been floated. But 7th Ward Alderman Eleanor Revelle says,
obviously those explorations didn't pan out, so I think this is a relatively late idea.
There are only about 3,000 seats at Martin Stadium, but Northwestern's proposal calls for up to 15,000 fans. You can see one fan's description of what this might look like. According to the city, its review is likely to comply with zoning requirements, but that's just the start of this process.
There's a public notice requirement, and then it's going to go to the Land Use Commission, and from there to City Council.
Revelle was one of 4 members of City Council who opposed rezoning the area around Ryan Field to allow for concerts in the new stadium. But the Lakeside Field project is one she says she can get behind.
It brings athletic contest tax revenues to the city, which is good.
And the president of Wildside says if Northwestern builds it, students will come.
There will be a lot of Northwestern fans that would want to come out based on, just the fact that it's on campus, it's on the lake.
Now, obviously, building a temporary stadium would be no easy feat and could potentially be disruptive to other athletics programs here at Northwestern. We reached out to the university with a bunch of questions on the matter. We did hear back from spokesperson John Yates. He tells NNN, quote, Northwestern is still exploring options for where the football team will play next season. We will share information with you as soon as possible, and we, of course, will be eager to talk with the university when that time comes. At Martin Stadium, Logan Schijano, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Logan. Northwestern football kicks off its 2024 season against Miami of Ohio on August 31st at home, wherever that home may be.
April showers have already begun in Evanston. We've seen rain and thunderstorms earlier this week, so what do the next few days have in store? Well, today we've seen a high of 57 degrees, and there have been showers throughout the morning and afternoon. This evening, temperatures will be dropping down into the 40s to bring in a frozen mix of rain and sleet overnight. High chances of snow and rain continue into tomorrow, with a 90% chance of precipitation in the morning and blustery winds throughout the day. Thursday and Friday, temperatures are still chilly in the 40s, but you can put away your umbrellas as the rain starts to go away later this week. Look forward to temperatures warming up and the sun peeking out again over the weekend, with highs hovering just under the 50s. And heading into next Monday, get ready for a solar eclipse. The United States won't see another total solar eclipse for 21 years after Monday. Evanston will experience the eclipse in an estimated 94% totality. The best time to see the eclipse on campus is around 2:07 p.m. If you plan on seeing this phenomenon in person, make sure to wear eclipse glasses to protect your eyes. That's all I have for this week's weather. Now back to the desk.
Coming up, NUDM throws it down on the dance floor. Find out how the NU tradition changed this year after break.
My relationship with Jonas is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
Artificial intelligence is developing at a rapid pace, but how can we govern it, and should we be thinking of it more optimistically? Luis Castaneda brings us to last week's event, which featured a former White House official focused on governing AI.
From what we see, hear,
the first toy I ever owned was a Barbie,
and pay attention to, AI is all around us. Northwestern's Institute for Policy Research hosted Dr. Alondra Nelson last Wednesday.
Having ideas and hearing people speak about it makes you insightful on what's happening.
Dr. Nelson worked with the Biden administration to create the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, a guideline that sets aside priorities like discrimination protections, notices when AI is being used, and human alternatives.
Not only can we do something about it if we want to harness the things that we think potentially are good and are coming, but that we must do something about it.
Now, she's focused on changing fearful narratives about artificial intelligence and talking about how we should govern it.
Understanding that they don't have to be an expert in computer science to understand the stakes of what's happening with this technological transformation.
She touched on how AI can interfere with elections, like robocalls that recently targeted New Hampshire voters, pretending to be Biden, telling them not to vote. But she also remains optimistic about its uses.
I'm pretty interested and excited to see what young people will make of these tools.
Recently, use of AI in healthcare has shown to increase successes in cancer screenings.
Well, the reason to crack down is because of the fear and the unknowledge, but at the same time, there's an amazing opportunity for us to innovate.
Dr. Nelson also addressed pushback from big tech on regulating AI, something that also concerns NU professor Rayvon Fouché.
We have large tech firms deciding that they know what's best for not only the consumers, users, but humanity in general.
Fouché serves on the NU Data Science and AI Steering Committee.
Before we make the technologies, before we make the choices about how technologies and infrastructure will shape our lives, we can have a more co-produced, useful way of producing technologies.
Luis Castaneda, Northwestern News Network.
Thank you, Luis. For more information on AI events at Northwestern, be sure to visit ai.northwestern.edu.
Time now for Under the Microscope, the latest in NU science. Ever wonder if you can hold it a little longer? A new device will make the answer easy. Northwestern researchers researchers have developed a new soft, flexible, battery-free implant that attaches to the bladder wall and wirelessly transmits data to a smartphone app so users can monitor their bladder fullness. The device is crucial for people with compromised bladder function. It also enables physicians to remotely monitor their patients to make faster and more informed treatment decisions. This is the first bioelectronic sensor that enables continuous bladder monitoring for a prolonged period. It consists of multiple sensors that measure strain by stretching as the bladder fills.
Computer scientists, psychiatrists, and social scientists at NU and the University of Cincinnati have created a predictive model, coined CompCog AI, to help public officials lead more effective vaccination campaigns. Using machine learning and cognitive science, CompCog AI uses small variable sets as opposed to traditional big data associated with AI. The research takes into account behavioral and emotional factors in addition to medical factors, which are all crucial for targeted vaccination initiatives, including the COVID-19 pandemic.
Northwestern scientists have developed the first wireless implantable temperature sensor to detect inflammatory flare-ups in patients with Crohn's disease. Their approach enables clinicians to enact earlier, which can prevent or limit permanent damage caused by inflammatory episodes. There is currently no way to quickly detect inflammatory events, which can be caused by Crohn's disease, and prevent problems from becoming so severe that it requires invasive surgery. Using this device, the magnitude of flare-ups can be measured according to their heat signature because heat indicated inflammation. That's all there is under the microscope.
Yesterday was April Fool's Day, and a popular Northwestern fan account wasted no time trolling its followers. Look at this tweet from Barstool Northwestern announcing star guard Chase Audige returned to Evanston for one final year. Well, this quickly threw some fans into a frenzy. Audige, who graduated in 2023, forfeited his college eligibility by entering last year's NBA draft. Audige spent this season in the NBA's G League. Back on campus, Northwestern lacrosse reclaimed the #1 ranking in this week's IWLCA poll. The Cats picked up their second conference win on Saturday against Rutgers, thrashing the Scarlet Knights 22-11. The Cats are now 2-1 in Big Ten play with a crucial matchup against the conference-leading Maryland Terrapins on Saturday. Meanwhile, Northwestern softball won 2 out of 3 games at Ohio State, while baseball got swept in its home series against Nebraska.
Northwestern Dance Marathon celebrated its 50th year this past weekend. NNN's Micah Sandy takes us to the dance floor.
Northwestern Dance Marathon blowing out its 50th birthday candles this past weekend at a new venue, Welsh Tryon Arena.
Starting off, I think there's more people this year for sure, and it's just a new location and a completely different vibe.
NUDM was the culmination of a year's worth of fundraising efforts, including a 5K run.
We've worked hard and it's time to have a 15-hour party to celebrate.
This year's event was shortened from 30 to 15 hours. About 900 students registered to dance, an uptick from last year's approximate total of 800.
Northwestern students are super busy with academics and with extracurriculars, and making the commitment only 15 hours rather than 30 when it takes up your entire weekend, I think made it a lot more accessible for people to attend.
Students danced for 5 blocks, featuring music from each decade since NUDM's founding in 1975 and performances from student musical groups.
Here in our 1970s dancing marathon Queen block, and we're listening to a lot of 70s music, and we will work our way through the night with 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s.
This year, NUDM raised a total of $342,138, with most of the funds going to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana.
Although venues bring their challenges, NUDM making the most of a new one, with spaces for snacks and spaces for dancing.
It feels like a fever dream, like every hour is going by and lots of things going on.
Dancing the night and day away.
There's a lot of people out there who are benefiting from us, and all we have to do is dance, so it means a lot.
Micah Sandy, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Micah. Northwestern Dance Marathon has raised over $23 million over its 50-year history. This year, in addition to the Ronald McDonald House, the funds will go to Evanston Community Fund, NUDM's secondary beneficiary for the past 27 years. Don't hop away. Learn more about Evanston Ecology Center's annual Easter egg hunt right after this.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
One, two, three, four.
We have some exciting news for all you fizzers out there. After heavy demand, you can now refizz refizzes on the anonymous social media app. That funny refizz you saw? Now you can refizz it to rake in your own fizz karma. You just hit the refizz icon in the bottom left corner of the screen and refizz the same way you would with any normal fizz. Fizzers can hop on this hot trend by updating the app.
A wood duck instead of an Easter bunny? Over the weekend, the Evanston Ecology Center and the Parks and Recreation Department put on an eco-friendly spin on the holiday. NNN's Allison Miller hopped over to the Eggleston Park to check it out.
These aren't your ordinary Easter eggs. Made of wood instead of plastic, around 700 of them were scattered around Evanston's Eggleston Park for the annual Arboretum Egg Hunt.
I think it was like a perfect amount of Easter eggs where like kids weren't crying, there weren't arguments.
On a beautiful day like today, get the kids out and walking all over. I loved it.
The Egg Hunt is an Evanston Ecology Center event organized by the city's Parks and Recreation Department.
We have relocated the event this year temporarily while the Ecology Center is under construction. And it's nice to have it in a different park this year just for a different experience for the kids.
The wooden egg hunt was one of several nature-related aspects of the event. Instead of candy-filled eggs, kids received a paper craft and went on an animal scavenger hunt.
The wooden eggs we can reuse until we lose them, essentially. So that's another way that this event is trying to be a little bit more eco-friendly.
No matter their background or their age, attendees took part together.
I felt like coming here, we taught our children that it would be okay and that that's a different perspective and different culture.
Like I know some people don't celebrate Easter because their family's not together or they just don't really want to. And when you do, you get to be with your family and it's really fun.
An excellent event for the environment and for all. Allison Miller, Northwestern News Network.
The Evanston Ecology Center's next seasonal special event is the Earth Day Fest on Saturday, April 20th. Now, Paris, I don't know about you, but what did you do for Easter?
You know, I didn't do much, but I did get a nice spring flower bouquet sent to me from my mom. What about you?
That's so sweet. I just painted eggs with my friends, which is a nice little tradition.
Oh,
but yeah.
That's so cute. Sounds so fun.
And that's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Ananya Chug.
And I'm Paris Francois. Have a good night.